spasticus, I'm spasticus. I'm spasticus, autisticus. I'm spasticus, I'm spasticus, I'm spasticus, autisticus. I'm spasticus, I'm spasticus, I'm spasticus, autisticus. I whittle when I fiddle, cause my middle is a riddle. I'm spasticus, I'm spasticus, I'm spasticus, autisticus. I'm spasticus, I'm spasticus, I'm spasticus, autisticus. I'm spasticus, I'm spasticus, I'm spasticus, autisticus. I dribble when I nibble and I quibble when I scribble. Hello to you out there in Norman. You may not comprehend my tale or understand. As I go past your window, give me lucky looks. You can read my body, but you'll never read my books. I'm spasticus, I'm spasticus, I'm spasticus, autisticus. I'm spasticus, I'm spasticus, I'm spasticus, autisticus. I'm spasticus, I'm spasticus, I'm spasticus, autisticus. I'm nobbled on the cobbles, cause I hobble when I wobble. Swim! So place your heart and peanuts in my tin, and thank the Creator, your name is stayed on in. So long have I been languished on the shelf, I must give all proceedings to myself. I'm spasticus, I'm spasticus, I'm spasticus, autisticus. I'm spasticus, I'm spasticus, I'm spasticus, autisticus. I'm spasticus, I'm spasticus, I'm spasticus, autisticus. Fitted for appliances in leather and elastic. 100,000 thank yous from 27 spastics, spasticus, spasticus, autisticus, spasticus, 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 autisticus, spasticus, 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 autisticus. Whittling, whittling, skiddling, biddling, fiddling, diddling, whittling, diddling, spasticus.
Hey everyone, there we had Spasticus Autisticus, a song by Ian Drury. He wrote the song, he's disabled himself, he has polio as a child and it's left him disabled. He wrote the song in rebellion to National Disability Day. He finds National Disability Day offensive. And the irony is nobody would play his record when he released it back in the 80s because they found it too offensive themselves. It's a bit of a tricky topic, I think, disability equality. As I said, I'm disabled myself. I don't find that song offensive whatsoever. And I'm hashtag actually autistic. Don't know if people have seen the trend. Yeah, like I said, we're all individuals, aren't we? Certain things about disability we're going to find offensive. Others, as I said, certain terms, certain words, couldn't care less, doesn't bother me. It's the next disabled person and they may find it offensive. We're all individuals, aren't we? But yeah, it's a catchy song though, I like it. And like I said, you know, it's him talking about his own disability, so he has the right to do that. So we are covering like quite a few, I've got a couple of case studies. We've got a blind hairdresser, a blind racing car driver, the world's fastest man. We've got some wheelchair boxing, things like that. And that's what I want to talk about. As I said, all people have different opinions. Is it being wicked? As I said, I'm hashtag actually autistic, and I don't find spasticus autisticus offensive. And as I said, he's talking about his own disability. It all depends on the individual. There will be some people offended by it. And as I said, the BBC and people like that refuse to even play that song. So, yeah, I hope nobody's offended by it. And as I said, he's talking about his own disability. So, in accordance with rights, he's got the freedom of expression. And it was written, as I said, in retaliation, a bit of a rebellion against National Disability Day, because he finds that patronising and offensive in itself. I don't think you'll ever find two disabled people that are the same. You know, as I said, I'm disabled, got disabled family members. We'll even have conflicting opinions within our own family. So a good example, I've got a brother who's deaf, and if I ever like shout or anything like that, he'll go, "What are you shouting for? I'm not deaf." So I think we use comedy and things like that to sort of deflect, and you know, don't take it so seriously. I think especially these days, things have gone a bit insane. People are scared to say things in case they offend. But I don't think there's anything better than asking somebody directly about their own disability. You know, for example, when my son was little, we've got a friend who's got, he was involved in an accident and he has a bionic leg. My son thought it was the coolest thing he's ever seen. And the man was very comfortable in explaining and, you know, showing him how it worked and things like that. And from my experience, I went to school with a boy. He was born with one arm and no legs, and he went on to be a champion swimmer. So I don't necessarily think, you know, that disability is naturally going to hold somebody back. Sometimes you find it can make people rebel against it and be more successful than if they weren't disabled. So, as I said, we've got a couple of case studies today. Before we go into that, though, I have been getting trolled quite badly. They're following me around from stream to stream. I'm being targeted specifically for my disability. People making the claim that I'm faking chemotherapy and, you know, just disgusting things like that. Saying it on their panels and spreading malicious rumours and stuff like that. I don't necessarily talk about my disability on here. Nothing to do, you know, I'm quite a private person in general. But I find that the ones that are on here talking about the health and things like that, they tend to do it in a way that's manipulative, you know, to try and garnish sympathy and stuff like that. So, yeah, as I said, you know, because of the type of condition that I've got, it does require me to undergo chemotherapy treatment at times. I'm most certainly not faking it. Obviously, it's in my medical records and things like that. So I just think it's pretty disgusting of these people. But there is one troll account in particular, Di, spelled D-I. They've got like a demon or something as a picture. They've been going around now claiming that they are the people in these articles that I'm going to be sharing. So if they do come in, bash them on the head and get rid. It's, as I said, the trolls will go for anything they can. The cat's kicking off. Typical. Every time I go live, someone kicks off in the background. I don't believe that someone who goes to Specsavers qualifies as blind. I mean, I am blind as a bat without my specs, to be honest. Hiya, Mr. Kerr. How you doing, love? I'm falling apart, but thank you for asking. As I said, I'm in stage 3 of lupus at the moment, so my immune system's doing a really good job of trying to kill me off. But here I am. It's affecting my lungs at the moment. So if I'm breathing like a pervert, please forgive me. I am struggling. But she can see to take the countings at the end of the day. To count the takings at the end of the day. Quite possibly. I mean, are you referring to myself or one of the subjects? As I said, we've got a couple of stories to go over that have been in the newspapers. What I want to address specifically today is, obviously, we've got the Equality Act 2010, which means that all people that are disabled must be treated equally. There must be adaptations to ensure that they are on an equal footing to people that aren't disabled, which I'm fully in support of. And it's a legislation that I use quite frequently, to be frank, because I have quite an unusual disability, being allergic to UV rays. So there are times when I have to sort of use that and throw it around a bit to ensure that adaptations are made to cater for my disability. But as I said, do you think it goes too far sometimes? Is there ever a time that perhaps a disabled person should say, I know my limits? Or, like I said, we've got some case studies today where they've gone, oh, fuck it. Nobody tells me what to do. As I said, there's the world's fastest man blind racing car driver. Sorry, excuse me 1 sec. I've got to take this call. Sorry about that. Hey, Andy, how are you doing, love? I hope you're well. Oh, thanks, Mystic. I'm too stubborn today. Not going anywhere else. He's stuck with me. Like I said, it does affect me. It's affecting my breathing and things like that. So please just, I'm not being perverted. I will probably be heavy breathing. I hope she uses blunt scissors. Yeah, is that in reference to the blind hairdresser? That's what I wanted to discuss and why I chose that as a sort of like a case study really to look at, because I've had a quick read through the article and it does mention, that because of her disability, she does trip up a lot and things like that. So, that's where I think, is it appropriate to sort of continue on, or is it heroic, or is it just impractical? I did a little poll on would you visit a blind hairdresser. Let's get that up, see what the results were. I think it was something like 80% said they wouldn't, but there are people that they've experienced, they've been to a blind barber themselves and they were happy with the results. And I think it depends as well. There's different levels of blind, isn't there? There's like a scale almost. So where's this poll? And as I said, the blind racing car driver is driven as fast as 200 miles an hour. Like, would you get in the car? Or, like I said, I'm both in awe and at the same time like, what? It's, yeah. And I don't mean it offensively, but when you hear that the world's fastest man is blind and he's driving around in a car at 200 miles an hour, it seems almost like an oxymoron, Right, so my post was, in preparation for Wednesday discussion on disability equality, And sincere apologies, I have rescheduled this a couple of times because I've not been well. So under the Equality Act, you've got to forgive me. Would you use a blind hairdresser? So 14% of you said yes, and 86% said no. Let's have a look at a couple of the comments. Stu said, yes, I would. They're a bit touchy-feely, but they do a good job. Fair enough. Lonnie, I don't know if she was offended by it, but she said, why would you ask this question? So I've explained to her it's in relation to this stream. Somebody said some of the people on here look like they've already been to a blind hairdresser, and there's suggestions of checking out the blind barber prank. Because, as I said, some people would be terrified at the idea of somebody who's blind coming at them with a pair of scissors, which I suppose are entitled to. As I said, if that troll account comes in, just knock it on the head, get rid. It's been following me around streams. Sorry, I can't catch my breath. Hey, Kirsty, love, how you doing? Thank you, Mystic. This is the thing that I don't understand. He won't know how fast he's going, will he? He thought he was doing 30 miles an hour. I believe they might have adapted the car in order to be able to do it. I don't know what that would entail, whether or not it's sort of, like when you can do text to speech or whatever, whether or not it's sort of telling you how fast you're going, or I have no idea how it works, but it's fascinating. That's a good point, Jan. Does it matter if a person is disabled as long as they can do the job? That's what I want to address today. Is there a time when you should say, no, that's not a good idea? Or the whole purpose of the Equality Act is to ensure that disabled people are on an equal footing. So, and as I said, I'm absolutely an advocate for disabled people being on an equal level. I've got a right bunch of disabilities myself. So, yeah, I'm certainly in support of it. I wouldn't like it if anybody told me I couldn't do something just because of a disability. As I said, there's a bit of rebellion, I think, as well. When somebody tells you you can't because of your disability, you go, yeah, watch me. I'll do it anyway. Disability, no ability, we all have ability. Well, that's the thing. There's something called ableism, where it favours people that are not disabled. And as I said, for me personally, if somebody told me I couldn't do something, I'd rebel against it and make sure that I could. Yeah, as I told you, I had a haircut and a shave by a blind gentleman. So just out of interest, like, was there anything out of the ordinary, shall we say, in having that? Because I assume by a shave you mean like with a cutthroat razor. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, let's get up this blind racing car driver. Hang on. Oh, somebody's out on the tractor now. I hope you can hear that. It's quite loud. I'll share the link in the chat as well if anybody wants to have a look themselves. So this is from the Bury Times. A 9-time world record holder, dubbed the fastest blind man on the planet, will be coming to Very next month to talk about his achievements and how he completed his life ambition. Mike Newman from Bolton became the first blind man on Earth to drive a car at 200 miles an hour and has been called the fastest blind man on land and water. Despite being born blind, Mike has always had a passion for cars, and it was his life's ambition to become a racing driver. Mike worked tirelessly to live his dream, and through grit and determination to succeed, he worked alongside a Jaguar dealership to acquire a racing car that would enable him to do it. So that's what I find fascinating as well. He was actually born blind, so it's not, there's sometimes cases where blind people, they have sight and then they lose it over time. So I don't know who's at the sort of better advantage there. Would it be sort of easier, like if you'd already had your sight, to sort of understand the car? Or they say that blind people, their other senses increase if they've lost their eyesight. So now we've got a kitten kicking off. Sorry. Yeah, as I said, I wonder who would be at the better advantage there, really. Or I don't understand how it works, to be frank. If you lose your eyesight later on in life, and do your other senses instantly become enhanced? Or I don't know. So John on about when he went to the blind hairdresser, he used his hands a lot, but it was better than I could do. Fair enough. Weeman's asking, would you trust him to do your back crack and sack? Yeah, as I said, there are ways around it, I suppose. Hiya, cheeky chaps. How you doing, love? Nice to see you. Is it our own ignorance and prejudice when it comes to the blind hairdressers, that they wouldn't be capable? Or are we discriminating in a sense? I think it's only natural, though. Like I said, with this blind racing car driver, would you get in the car next to him when he's driving at 200 miles an hour? That's a serious question. So this article is basically just promoting that he's going to be doing discussions and talks. It's out of date now, so it's long gone. But it says the superhuman Mike Newman will be speaking about this ambition and his achievements on the 6th of June, hosted by the Very Blind and Partially Sighted Society. CEO of the society says, we are delighted to be welcoming superhuman Mike Newman. I love that they've rhymed it, to speak at our supper in June, an evening not to be missed. So it's got some of his achievements here, and I don't think I've met a regular man that's achieved any of these kind of things. So he founded a charity called the Speed of Sight, and it's basically driving experiences for blind people and partially sighted people, on race courses and things like that. So they get to experience and take part in that kind of thing. So it's not just about himself. I think that's absolutely commendable that he's done that. And it must be difficult, because for me personally, I love driving. It's one of my passions. So I couldn't imagine not having the opportunity to be able to drive. So in 2001, he achieved the motorbike speed record, doing 89 miles per hour on an Aprilia bike. I'll probably not pronounce that right. In 2003, took the car land speed record of 144 miles per hour in a Jaguar XJR, and broke this in 2005 by doing 176 miles an hour in a BMW M5. I couldn't even imagine driving at that speed. So these are his achievements. Aerial record flying, the most loop-de-loops. Car land speed record, 186 miles an hour in a Porsche GT2. Water speed record, 93 miles an hour in a Silverline racing boat. Flipping heck. This is what I mean. They've obviously, Porsche and people like that have got faith in him to be lending him these. They're not cheap, are they? These cars that they're mentioning. So they've obviously got faith in it. And I'm curious as to how the insurance would work on that. But yeah, as I said, would you personally want to get in the car beside him? He's obviously very experienced. He sounds a more experienced driver than most of the people I know. So I think there would be a little bit of trepidation anyway. There would be for me. Good to see you, Ministry of Madness. I hope you're well, love. I'm going to drop the link in a minute and we'll open up the panel and have a discussion, see what people think. But as I've said before, try and keep it as respectful as possible, because these are people, they're probably never going to see this, but, you don't know who you're going to offend. Oh, I've missed loads of the chat reading that article, sorry. There was I read about a guy that there used to be scams, back in the olden days, where they were going to out people for looking at porn, basically. And I'm talking like back in 1920. And they tried to say, we're going to tell everyone that you've been looking at porn. And the man that they tried to say this about was actually blind. So his children were like, that's hilarious, because he's blind. He couldn't even look at porn if he wanted to. Welcome to the chat, Umbrella. And thank you, Zara. I imagine the driver's memory is great as long as things stay the same. That's what it doesn't go on to explain, how the Jaguar specially adapted the vehicle. But if it's doing light speed and things, I should imagine it's in a straight line anyway. There won't be obstacles or anything like that. So a blind person memorizes things. That's discussed as well in that article about the blind hairdresser. So we'll go into that in a minute. That's it. I think it's only ever like on racetracks. I don't think he's driving around on a regular day-to-day basis. But yeah, how bloody good's that? Like, as I said, he was born blind, and even as a kid, his ambition in life was to be a racing car driver, and it's certainly not stopped him. Argument. Hello, love. I'd like to see him as a bus driver. At least he'd have the biggest car on the road if there was any issues. Audible signals for braking zones and drifting offline signals through the helmet. Oh, that could, yeah, that makes sense. And especially now when we're getting cars that drive themselves and things like that. So I think that technology and things like that, advancements in technology, are a great benefit to people that are blind. There's another woman who's, oh, sorry. There's another woman that was, I think she had multiple sclerosis, something like that, but she wasn't able to talk, and she had something that talked for her. And with the old technology, it would take her, she said, about 10 minutes, just to respond to her husband. And they kitted her out with this thing that sort of was able to detect her muscles in her face, you know, for speaking, and it was instant. Like, yeah, it's pretty incredible, really. You'll vote for people who want to destroy you, at least with the blind person, you know. That's it. Hello, Spunk Fish. How you doing, love? That's what I'm thinking, cheeky. It was, I think, on a race, especially if you're doing like 200 miles an hour, in order to get up to that speed, it would probably have to be a straight line anyway, wouldn't it? But like I said, when you hear a blind racing car driver that does 200 miles an hour, it's like, what? I think I've misheard that. That's it. I'm concerned, well, not concerned, but wondering how that would all work, especially talking about 100 grand cars, 150 grand, maybe upwards. Formula One cars aren't cheap, are they? That's it, John. It's commendable, I think. Wow. Like, as I said, it's sort of, I would do the same. You know, if somebody told me I couldn't do something because of my disability, I'd rebel against it and say, watch me do it. Just out of spite, I suppose. Even sighted drivers use audible signals during races, braking zones, and pit signal. That's true. They have, I can't remember what the word is. They have like a buddy, don't they, to tell them where to go and stuff like that. Sorry, excuse me. Yeah, I hope everyone's doing all right. That's it. I'm going to drop the link in a minute. As I said, we've just got a couple of things to go over. And another thing that I wanted to discuss is things like, have you ever seen The Undateables, the TV show? I feel a bit uncomfortable watching it sometimes. I love it, but I'm pretty sure at times they're taking the piss out of the disabled people. You know, like the one that does the voiceover and stuff. That makes me a little bit uncomfortable at times. I don't know if it's just me, but yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah, his charity's based. He's definitely British, but I don't think his charity's that far from where I live. It's pretty incredible, really. Yeah, I'm all right, thanks, love. Falling apart, but cracking on. As I've said before, I can't really breathe today, so excuse if I'm breathing like a pervert down the microphone. Afternoon, Lonnie. Thanks for coming in, love. Hiya, Jason. Not seen you in a while. I hope you're good. That's it, John. This just seemed to crack on, you know. As I said, I imagine there's certain things like you shouldn't be leaving furniture, or, you know, if you move furniture, let her know, or, you know, if there's something on the floor, I think that would pose a bit of a problem. But yeah, as I said, there was a guy as well that he used to use clicking. He was blind and he used to like click when he was walking down the street. He would make clicking noises because when the sound bounced back, it enabled him to sort of determine and detect what it was going on around him. Yeah, sorry. Oh, even in the dark. Yeah, I suppose it's that's what I always wonder as well. Do blind people dream? Like, you know, if they were born blind, do they see dreams like we would? Because they don't necessarily know what something looks like. Yeah, that's it, like sonar. I might be able to get the clip up because it was fascinating, absolutely incredible. Was he? I think he was a skateboarder as well. Let's see if we can get the clip up. Oh, there's quite a few. That seems to be quite a popular. Yeah, let's get this video up. The one I'm on about was black, and this isn't a black guy, but oh, it's called echolocation. Like bats and dolphins. Yeah, that's not the guy I was on about, but how incredible is that? I couldn't do it. Oh, Miss loads of chat again, sorry. Hiya, Mexican, how you doing, love? I know a blind man from birth. He can see his surroundings in his brain without eyes. That's what fascinates me. How do they know? That's it, John. It's like I said, my brother's, he was born deaf. There were complications when he was born. He can drive, he can do most things, you know, that other people can. He just has a couple of things like if somebody rings his doorbell, he has this special like flashing thing, you know, just to let him know that there's somebody at the door, or he has a vibrating alarm clock because obviously when you take your hearing aids out, you wouldn't be able to hear your alarm clock. So there's some pretty cool gadgets out there for disabled people, you know, to ensure that they can do everything like we can. And well, I'm disabled anyway, but you know, let everybody else can. I think that's fantastic. And like I said, I think with technology and things like that, it's only going to advance. Like, look at Stephen Hawking's, for example. Um, you know, imagine the technology that you could have these days for people like him. And I'll drop the link if anybody does want to pop up and share their stories or opinions on this. Oh, I don't know what reflection detection is. Is that like the sonar sort of concept? That sounds cool. Yeah, they obviously, like I said, it's our eyes aren't really accurate anyway, to be frank. Our brains are only processing a tiny amount of what we're actually seeing anyway. So yeah, I suppose if you have to lose sort of a sense. Hello, Lev. Welcome to the panel.
Afternoon. Thought I'd jump up. I haven't been on with you for a little while, so thought I'd jump up and say hello. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good to see you, Lev. Thank you for joining.
No worries. Interesting subject. Interesting subject.
This is why I wanted to pick it really and just see what people think, because obviously we've got the Equality Act and things like that, but you know, is there a point we should draw a line, or should we just be cheering them on and saying wow, because these are impressive?
Yeah, of course there's a line to be drawn, isn't there? You know, I pick it like the guy with the land speed records. I'm going to look him up after on YouTube. He sounds a really interesting guy, so But like you said, he knows the risks. He signs a waiver. If you go into a normal workplace, shall we say, and they just say they've got a partially sighted in a supermarket, a partially sighted shelf stacker or cleaner, and they happen to knock you over and you break something. Is it because they were partially sighted? Is there a claim there? Or is there, who's to blame? Because you haven't gone in there and signed a waiver to say that you might be injured because they got someone in there who's working who's partially sighted.
That's it. There's a guy at it's in Blackpool, at the Blackpool Asda, and it's the the people that show you which till's open, and he's got no arms, so they've assigned him to that job. I don't know. I'm not really sure why, because he can't sort of point, but he cracks on with it. It's not an issue, And as I said, I know the Equality Act and things like that. You're not allowed to discriminate against people, but then I think, why select him for that particular job?
Yeah, it's making a point, isn't it? It sounds ridiculous. Yeah. The answer I make is making a point, but the career I was in for so long, we used to have permission from the local forestry commission or forestry commission for Wales for some of this equality stuff, but I'm talking not partially sighted or anything. People with learning disabilities. So, we take into the woods and set them up so we could make tea and everything, and just go about tidying up the footpaths and everything. But they had to be monitored at all times because of their disabilities and use of tools and stuff. So I'm all for. I'm all for. I love it when I go into a supermarket and say there's an obvious person with learning disabilities working there, working the till. I love that. I really do. I think it's for them. It's probably a release, and it's good for the mind. But yeah, certain things is like what you were on about. There's no way, if I had hair, there's no way I would let who's partially sighted cut my hair. No.
That's it. And I wonder as well, like you're saying with disabled people being employed.
Yeah.
Are the non-disabled people having to sort of work harder to enable that disabled person to have the same rights? Perhaps having to supervise or things like that. Is that fair then on non-disabled people because they're
mine was a different case because it was it was heavily learning disabled and personality disorder, so I had to be really, really closely watched. But no one I looked after could have sort of even worked in a charity shop or anything. The comprehension of money and basic instruction wasn't the best, shall we say. So but yeah, it does take away from there's got to be extra training time, and obviously mentors. They probably may not say it in some of the I'm just taking supermarkets as an example. That these guys who are entitled to work if they want to maybe need a bit more mentorship, and they've probably got an unofficial mentor that keeps an eye on them during shift. Maybe not so closely, but they'll definitely have some sort of mentor. until they're fully up to speed with their job, you know.
That's it. I should imagine, you know, like for example, the case study of the blind hairdresser,
Only,
like, you know, working in that sort of environment. I should imagine that they've also got to have some form of assistance. In the article, she talks a lot about, you know, how she trips up and things like that. So, you know, like I said, does that mean that the other employees are having to sort of pick up the slack, or, you know, at some point should
I
you
would
draw
say
the
yes.
line?
I would say yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say yes.
Uh, yeah, Wesley, good point. Vincent van Gogh, he was autistic. Beethoven, Einstein,
Yeah,
Tesla, you know, they all had disabilities, and look at the
yeah, yeah,
impact that they
yeah.
had on the world.
Well, touching on one, Tesla. You know, he was silenced, shall we say? Fell into gambling and lost virtually everything he owned. All because of the fact that after the Philadelphia experiment, where they used some of his technology, he was completely ostracized because the US establishment knew that he'd figured out something massive, so they shut him down. Yeah, he did the old, like people like to, and they think it's a new thing, the smearing and the propaganda, and that was the end of Nikola Tesla. And the guy who could have changed our whole world. We could have been living off free energy now, and it's hard to imagine living off free energy, but how much that would free up other things and people to do other things. It's
It would save lives.
crazy that someone to be
Yeah,
silenced for offering the world a solution, you know, before
that's
there
it.
wasn't
From what I
energy. He knew the energy crisis was going to come. He was so forward thinking. He knew the energy crisis was going to come. So he was working on free energy and time travel. So, yeah.
you don't win them all, do you? So you don't need to crack the
No,
energy.
no.
But yeah, how many elderly do we lose every year because they can't afford to put the fucking heating on? It would have
Yep,
saved lives, literally, and taken people out of poverty. But from what I've
yep,
read, it was sort of they took advantage of his disabilities, autism, and you know, I think it's very common, that kind of thing.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
afternoon, Jack.
Oh,
Welcome to the chat.
yeah, I can't remember. Oh, it's one of the big property magnates and bankers that backed him for a while. Someone in the chat will know. But he ended up with loads of Tesla's patents and stuff because Tesla had borrowed fucking hundreds of thousands for a certain project, and then ended up building that big lightning array thing, which was the free energy machine. Um, um, and you know that was the beginning of the end for him because he couldn't pay the guy back, and obviously the guy wanted his patents and his technology. But yeah, I'm sure someone in the chat will remind me of the banker it was that backed Nikola Tesla.
Yeah, like I find the whole thing fascinating.
Oh,
Wesley's
I
saying that
do. I
Vincent
do.
van Gogh had a blind barber.
Get
Is
out.
that a joke because of him cutting his ear off, or
Yeah.
is that a fact?
Van Gogh
But
didn't have autism or anything. He was just constantly fucking stoned on opium and then ropes coming from the Caribbean on the ships. He been smoking Rascut ropes on the while he's painting.
I mean, they are funky designs, so definitely
I
some
love it.
kind
I
of
love all that.
hallucination
I
in it.
love all that impressionist and abstract stuff. I love it all. Dali is fucking amazing. Even though some of it's a bit weird and people will call you weird for analysing and enjoying it. Spunk Fish has got it. JP Morgan.
The
That's it.
term
That's who funded Tesla.
impressionism. was meant to be an insult to money. You know, they were saying because he could bang, like back in them days, it was, you know, rich people got portraits and things like that. The general people weren't entitled and they couldn't afford art. So Monet came along and he was banging them out, and yeah, he was insulted. People said it looks like an impression of a painting, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm having that. It's called impressionism."
Brilliant.
You know,
Yeah,
stuck his
brilliant.
fingers up and said, "Great," and that's how impressionism was born.
Brilliant. I love it. Yeah,
So, talking about
I
music in
talk
the
about
chat.
some things sometimes, and people are surprised that, you know, I don't know a lot about anything. I know a little bit about some things, but people are surprised sometimes about, I think, with me that, you know, when I talk about classical music or, you know, things like Tesla and stuff, because I've got such a wide array of things I watch and listen to. Now I've watched loads on Tesla, and not just this experimentation, but documentaries about the people that were around him taking advantage. And there was lots of them taking advantage and, you know, buying patents for this and that off him cheap because they knew he was skint. But he, you know, but they didn't know he was building the, I can't remember what it's called, but the lightning array.
Oh, the coil,
So
Tesla
yeah,
coil.
I'm right. Yeah, Tesla coil. I'm right into all sorts of weird shit like that. You know.
I'm a proper nerd. Stuff like that. I'm like, wow. Raleigh, I am so sorry that you were hidden. I've shook up the mods a bit. I forgot to put any in today, but yeah, you're not hidden, love, and I'm so sorry that happened. When I get on my phone, I'll give you a span and make sure it never happens again.
Nathan.
That's business, though. It's cutthroat, isn't it? So
Yeah.
I imagine it's happened quite a lot.
Yeah, and in the late 1800s and, you know, early Victorian period, even more cutthroat because, you know, all these big bankers and property magnates were all Masons, sons of European immigrants or grandsons of European immigrants. And most of them in some way have got connections to the British royal family, the Dutch royal family, the Danish royal family. It's all very weird. It's all very, very, very weird, you know. The American Revolution could have been prevented, but it was allowed to go because it was a moneymaker. So
That's it. They do say that money's the root to all evil. Brings out
well,
the
it was
devil in
even,
us.
you know, first they got rid of us, and then, you know, which was a moneymaker, all by design. And then, of course, the Civil War was another moneymaker, all by design. They knew slavery was going to be abolished. And it was just a way for rich people in the South to have a bit of a ruck and say, oh, yeah, I'll sign this, but I've got to be able to keep my land. And of course, the North sort of held government then, was the main seat of government. So, and has been ever since, apart from Texas.
That's interesting. It's yeah, it is. It's all about, like, the amount that this, like Tupac said, you know, if they spent less money on wars and feed the poor, I think the money.
I don't know if it's just me, Agent, but you're breaking in and out, and I can't hear you at the moment. See if my audio's working. My My audio is on.
Is that
Yeah, I
better?
didn't
It seems
hear
weird when I
anything
share
out for a
that screen.
bit.
Oh, sorry. It's yeah, whenever I share a screen, it seems to affect my internet signal, but I've been told that that's not
Yeah,
like it can't, but I'll try and get
it
the
does on
backup in a
mine.
sec.
It does on mine. I'm connected on this computer with an Ethernet cable, and even you know, when I've got two screens open and I'm on StreamYard, I've got YouTube Studio open for the comments. If I share a video, I get lag, but that's because my missus, I didn't realise, she told me the other week, changed us from our normal interwebs to pauper interwebs, which is, I don't know, it's only something like $2.50 a week, but all they do is slow down the speed, so you still get a decent signal connection, but they just slow down the speed of the stream of internet coming into the house to be used. So that's what they do to us anyway.
Mine's meant to be super fast, but bloody liars. Yeah, I think it might be my laptop as well, you know. It's got quite a lot of junk on it.
Yeah.
That doesn't help. Let's see if I can get
Spunk Fish.
article.
Yeah, I'll just answer a Spunk Fish question from earlier. He wanted me to play Fly By Night for him on guitar. If I pop on a live later and you're around, Spunk, yeah, I definitely will. Or if I go live, I'll definitely do it for you. I might even try and find the backing track for it as well, so I can play along to the backing track, so we can have Geddy Lee singing. But yeah, I'll definitely do that for you. Just it's not all. I've got to go through it all anyway. I've got a fuzzy cable. I think it's a patch lead, so I've got to go through my setup, clean all my cables, and try and get rid of the fuzz. I've got a little tiny bit of fuzz when I turn my amp on, and it's only happened the last week, so I don't usually have it. I won't have any weird noises, unwanted noises coming out my amp. I'm a bit anal like that, so. I haven't been playing my
Yeah, I don't
acoustic
know if
though,
it's doing
Tony.
it
It's right
again, if you
next to
can
me.
hear me or not.
I can hear you. Yeah, yep. Let me turn my thing off so I'm not using more bytes by having camera on.
Yeah, I think it's affecting my signal still. Is it? Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you fine, yeah.
Yeah, all these pop-up adverts and stuff, newspapers aren't what they used to be, are they? They're getting ridiculous. So
Yeah,
it makes it
they
impossible to
are.
read an article.
Well, it's all the advertising
Let's get rid of
on the
that.
all the animated advertising on the screen, isn't it? It takes off all your fucking megabytes.
That's it. Makes it so hard to read an actual article as well. It's ridiculous. So I've shared the link to this in the chat if anybody wants to look it up. There's quite a few articles. It looks like she's gone round doing the tour for the main newspapers. Inspirational hairdresser lost her sight but vows to continue after loyal customers pledged to stand by her. Diana Kendall suffered an intracerebral hematoma, meaning a pool of blood gathered in her brain and killed all the nerves that touched it. Left her with impaired peripheral vision, which means she can only see through A small frame of vision. Loyal customers pledged to stand by her because she's cut their hair so well over the years. So when hairdresser Diana began to lose her sight, she thought her job was for the chop. Nice fun. Despite her vision being massively impaired, the hairdresser still manages to cut hair so well, her loyal customers pledge to stand by her. See, that's what, you know, if this is somebody you've known a while, is it sort of that you feel bad? You know, is it out of sympathy that they're sort of saying, I'll still come? Or is it that she's genuinely a good hairdresser? So it says that she lost her vision after suffering a brain injury last year and is classed as too blind to drive. We need to put
if that's her, then you know, good on her customers for standing by her. Her hairdressing bedside manner must be completely different to the way she portrays herself on the tubes, because she's a sour old cow. I've never had a run in with her, but she's a horror. She's had nothing good to say about me or most people by the look of it. She picks about 8 or 10 people who she's close with, and then she's just horrible to everyone else.
No, it's definitely not the woman that's on YouTube. Angela's confirmed it, so it's definitely not her.
Good. Okay.
As I said, it's a good case study because, like, if you hear a blind hairdresser, like, it's a bit, you know, like, not like a joke, but a bit maybe like oxymoron's not quite the word, but you know, it's sort of like, what? A blind hairdresser?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just
I'd be as likely to go to a blind hairdresser as I would be to go to a fucking blind tattooist.
That's a good point. I bet we can find a blind tattooist in a minute. So
Probably.
She was left with impaired peripheral vision, which means she's got a limited frame and was warned she might never work again. Her customers at Just Cuts in Pencoed near Bridgend, South Wales, kept on coming back after she returned 3 months following the diagnosis. She said, they tease me about my eyesight, saying who'd have cut from a blind hairdresser, but I don't mind. Losing some of my sight and surviving is better than the other option. She says that her customers were all supportive and pleased when she returned back to work. This is the bit that concerns me now, this chunk of blurb. I couldn't see my hand in front of my face. I was told my sight would come back slowly, but it's been over a year and it's gotten worse. After 4
You're gone quiet again there, Agent. It cut out after, but after 40 years of cutting hair.
Right. I'll just read it from the article and hopefully that'll stop it doing that. But yeah, she goes on to say, accepting my limitations has been difficult. That's what I want to discuss. You know, is she appropriately accepting those limitations? Because she goes on to explain that clients are getting sort of the mickey taken out of them for still going to her. She says, I've had to learn I'm not Superwoman. Now that my condition has settled down, it only affects my peripheral vision. So we need to put her in touch with that blind racing car driver because it says that she can't drive anymore, but I bet he'll set her up.
Yeah, probably will.
So
thing is as well with hairdressing, they're that nosy trying to know the in and outs of a fucking your life that, you know, they're virtually cutting blind anyway, because they're more interested in getting to know your life story, so they can tell the next customer all about it.
Finding out where you're going on a holiday this year. That's the
Yeah.
favourite. Yeah, this is the
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
that
They start
concerns
off
me.
with that question, and end up asking you your bank details.
And talking about the timeshare.
Yeah,
So yeah, this is the bit that concerns me. She says, so I trip up a lot and I can't judge distances very well at all. But if a head of hair is in front of me, I can see well enough to give my great standard cut. So I'm concerned by the fact, that she's openly admitting that she trips up a lot.
yeah,
And then she's dealing with potential weapons with scissors, the very sharp hairdressing
yeah.
scissors in particular. And then she says, that she's had difficulty accepting her limitations. So, that's sort of what I wanted to discuss. Is there a line? Should we draw a line? Because that's bordering on dangerous, in my opinion.
Well, if she's questioning her own ability and her own confidence, then it is very dangerous, isn't it?
That's what I thought, and it's the term I can cut hair well enough. Not that she can do it like she could when she wasn't blind. It's well enough. That's, to me, that wouldn't satisfy, like I said, it's...
No.
Sorry, let me sort this cat.
Oh, it's Snowy. Yeah. Interesting
It's like he
subject.
knows when I'm live.
Yeah,
But
because it could relate to sort of other sort of careers as well. Because there's a lot of meat processing plants around where I am, mostly poultry. And are all candidates who go in for interviews checked if they've got violence on their criminal record? I know they do say that most places do criminal background checks, but do they fuck? What happens if they let someone in who's known for getting a bit stabby or whatever?
yeah, with that equipment, and that would be
And
a
it's
bit
sort
concerning
of,
as
it's a
well.
bit more extreme, but it's the same situation. It's dangerous implements.
That's it. Like I said, yeah, that's what I mean. It's not the woman that we know, and Angela's confirmed it's not. So
Yeah.
But yeah, as I said, that I'm like, that genuinely concerned me reading that bit about tripping up, and obviously she's a hairdresser, and it gets to the point, I think, that's a little bit dangerous. Do we have limitations? Has the Equality Act gone a bit mad? Should we sort of... And who should toe the line? Should it be the person that owns the salon that says, no, I'm sorry, I'm concerned for people's safety? Or should it be the individual?
They risk a lawsuit, either or a big redundancy payment, which a lot of salons, unless they're big ones, they're not going to be able. They're not going to be able to afford a big redundancy payment like that. They should have insurance in place to do it by law, but hairdresser salons are like, they come and go, don't they? So
Yeah, you don't
insurances
earn a good
like
living.
that are not up to date. Yeah, so there's a couple
But
of
the
risks
thing
there,
is,
isn't there?
yeah, if they did sack her because of this disability, she would be able to sue the crap out of them under the
Yes, go
Equality
straight
Act.
to it. Yeah,
So
yes,
it's
go straight to an
tricky.
ombudsman, and they take it up straight away. Go to the employment tribunal and ombudsman, and they take the hairdresser to the fucking cleaner.
That's it. And I think, like I said, it's a bit awkward, isn't it? And I think maybe, you know, a clients, would they want to say to a face, no, now that you're blind, I don't want you cutting my hair? Or Rally, that's the thing. Some of the clients in the article, they're saying that the husbands like openly take the piss out of them, you know, and laugh at them for attending a blind hairdresser. So
Well, that's because they come home with a fucking 70s fucking pudding bowl cut.
could well be, yeah. He's not happy with the cut. Argument says, how does she know if the cut's finished? That's a very good point. And yeah,
Right then.
he could drive her to work. He's saying about the blind driver. Hiya, Snowy. Thanks for coming in. But like I said, it's the fact, as I said, has disability equality gone too far? Because situations like that, you know, the employer, can't legally, technically sack her. And she talks about, you know, how she's tripping up a lot. Obviously, in that environment, we've got scissors, sharp weapons, things like that. I would feel nervous, genuinely nervous, if she was coming towards me with scissors, you know, knowing that she's prone to tripping. And as I said, is it a case of the other people that are working in the salon, are they having to work harder to accommodate so that she can continue to work?
I would say probably yes.
Is it fair?
You know, because there's logistics about, you know, I know she's only lost her peripheral vision, so she can see straight forward. That's it. So, you know, she's not going to be able to see, say, another hairdresser at a chair accidentally steps backwards to take a cut and trips her up when she's got scissors in her hands. You know, that's just genuinely an accident, but could have been prevented because of the peripheral vision, unless they put them silly curved mirrors up in every corner so she can see what's going on that way. But
that's it. When I'm at the hairdresser, you put your handbag on the floor, or, you know, something completely innocent like that. That is going to be detrimental to her being able to get around. And, you know, maybe I'm being a bit, so I don't really know how it works, that I'm just sort of, just from what I've read in the article and practicalities, my experience of going to the hairdressers, you know, like I said, should we be drawing the line? And is the Equality Act always a positive thing? Or situations like this, should it be, you know your limits and perhaps accept, you know, that it's not
it isn't. I don't think it was thought through properly, but
that's it.
You know, most employers are going to have their head screwed on, but there's going to be some that will just, you know, take people with disabilities because of the little perks they get, you know, the little knockoffs in tax they get and whatever else, you know.
That's it.
They may be slacking up on the safety side of it a little bit, just to take them knockbacks, you know, or, you know, them little brown envelopes and tax breaks, because there's all sorts of employer benefits to employing certain groups of people, should we say, not just disabled people. I mean, you know, there's lots and lots of different types of people where employers will get tax knockbacks and stuff for employing them. So
Sorry, I've put the cat out. But yeah, as I
No,
said, I'm definitely an advocate, of equality and things like
yeah,
that. But
yeah,
as individuals, should we draw the line? For
mm,
example, my disability means I'm fatally allergic to UV rays. Am I then going to go and start working in a tanning salon and
no
say
way.
everybody must adapt for me because I've decided I want to work here and I'm disabled, like,
Yeah,
or would you sort of think more what's a logical job for me to
yeah.
do now?
Well, and
Disability.
you know, I worked within the family caring business, care home, and um, my mum made a point of employing older staff, shall we say? So we had people working for us in their late 50s, 60s, and the one lady worked just till she was about 70, and then I think her husband made her retire. Um, but my mum was going for experience over enthusiasm, shall we say, and not cutting any corners, getting the best people in for the job, and um, it worked for
Afternoon.
us. And some people would say, "Oh, no, how can you employ someone over sort of 55 or whatever in a caring job that's very demanding?" Can be physically demanding as well, but that's why there was always a few of us a little bit younger around. If there was any tantrum, shall we say, trouble, anger issues. But yeah, my mum would put her trust in people with experience
But that's
to
it,
keep a cool head, not cutting corners. You know what I mean? No cutting any corners. Everything fucking down the line.
it's experience is far more valuable than education and qualifications. It's you find that people come out and they're qualified, but they've got no experience.
Yeah,
They struggle. It's yeah, far more valuable. And
yeah.
like I said,
But
I particularly with that hairdresser, I just thought, that sounds dangerous to me.
oh, very dangerous to me. Very,
And
very.
as I said, is it maybe a little bit sort of selfish? Like I said, I wouldn't choose to have a job, where I know that they would have to physically keep going out of the way to
Yeah,
accommodate and things like that.
yeah. Well, if it was me, if I was, my left eye's fucked, but if I was that lady, I'd lost my vision. I only had peripheral vision. She's not the sprightliest of chicks. She was what 56. It said in the thing.
Yeah, 14
Um,
years it claimed she'd been a hairdresser, so I should think she's close to retirement.
yeah. But if I was her and I insisted on carrying on doing something, I would probably say my goodbyes to the hairdressers, let them have a party and a whip around for me, little bit of redundancy just to appease they're having to leave the job they love and go and do some voluntary work for a few years. You know,
That's
charity
it.
shop stuff.
So
She
retirement.
doesn't, by the sound of it, financially, she doesn't need to carry on because the state would be there to help her because she is obviously disabled. So she is entitled to help from the state as well. So,
That's it. 'Cause
you
It
know,
was talking about how she was a single parent, so obviously she's still got to provide for her children and things like that. So, you wouldn't begrudge anybody of an income or things, but as I said, it's at some point, I think we do need to draw the line, and even though the Equality Act demands that disabled people get special treatment, I don't think that it should come at the cost of the rights of non-disabled people. Like I said, having to work harder, pick up the slack, and you know,
yeah,
don't think it's fair, to be honest. I don't necessarily agree that disabled people should have better treatment, which is what the Act actually demands. It demands that they have
It
special
should
treatment.
be the same.
That's it.
No, equality means on the same level. So
you would think
that's what the word means, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's it. And like I said, yes, absolutely, adaptations should be made. So that, for example, people in wheelchairs, so they can go on trains. That is logical to me. Yeah, absolutely. They're human beings. They deserve the same kind of rights. But as individuals, as particularly disabled individuals like myself, I think you need to know what your limits are, and as I said, it must be awkward. Like with the case of the blind hairdresser, a client's her employer, things like that, people may be scared to sort of express the true opinion, really, in my opinion. Adams, thanks for coming in, love. It's always lovely to see you. But yeah,
I think Spunky's ready to throttle me.
I'm just doing an hour and a half today, Spunk. I can do another stream in a minute, but I just wanted to keep this solely on disability equality and has equality gone mad.
Yeah.
Another point.
He wants me to play guitar. I don't know how it will come through, but before I leave in a minute to make a cuppa, I'll have to play a bit of Rush for Spunk Fish. I know he loves it.
Oh, no. Yeah, you can play us out. Another point that I wanted to bring up as well is like with the police, now that they have to be equal employment opportunity. It used to be that police officers were like 6 foot tall, physically fit, so they could chase after criminals and all things like that. These days, anybody can join. So we're getting 4 foot tall police officers, morbidly obese officers.
Yeah.
Is that logical? Could a 4 foot tall police officer
No, it's not.
tackle someone?
No.
This is what I mean. Has it gone too far? Are we just
I got a funny story from not last night before. Kids are up on a scaffolding opposite, chucking things off. So I think the people in the shop rung the police. PCSO turned up, and he's about, I'm 5'8", he's about 5'6", fit but not stocky or anything. And these kids were giving him the runaround bad, chucking things at him. So he called in the backup of a real copper, and as soon as the real copper come, he started roughing up one of these kids that was being a right little prick. So I started, thought I started recording. Missed him roughing up the kid, but I thought I'd started recording. Stood there for 3/4 of an hour, hoping that the copper would put hands on him again. I need to find out that I wasn't recording at all. I was fucking fuming. It would have been it would have had loads of views. I was fuming, but the copper didn't. The copper saw me filming, and sort of must have realised, hold on a minute, I've got to chill out a bit,
That's it. I think it can be a powerful tool, a camera on a police officer.
Yeah. Oh, the one kid was shouting at me, "Oh, you fucking fat cunt! What are you fucking filming for, you fat cunt?" I was laughing and thinking, "I'm filming for your benefit, you silly little boy." You know what I mean? I'm protecting your rights here. Fucking stop it. But I've seen the kid outside since, and he didn't say anything. I just smiled at him, so he must have realised,
Yeah, interview him next time. Get him on.
I should grab hold of him next time I see him. I should grab hold of him and just say to him, "Look, mate, I saw the copper rough you up, and I was recording for your benefit. Just do you mind if I just ask you a little bit about it? And he'll say, yeah. And I'll say, look, I'll blur your face out because I think he's about 15 or something. So I wouldn't want to show his face or anything like that. So yeah, it would be funny. And I think he would as well. He would do it because all his mates would egg him on to fucking do it.
Jack said there, ghost recording. It was more like blind recording.
It was ghost recording. Oh, fucking hell. Well, the PCSO even came over to talk to me when I, my phone in my hand to apologise for this kid's language. And I said,
Well,
don't fucking worry about it. You know what I mean? Don't worry about it. I'm cool, man. It's no need to, reprimand him or fine him or fucking anything for that. I think
that's it. They're probably wanting a statement for public order or something. Were you offended?
Fuck that. No. No, no report from me.
Are you going to be going live today, or is anybody else going live?
I might do later. I'm not sure if Mrs. is going on her machine later today, and it makes no odds either way. If she does, I've got time, but might have to run away to make her some dinner and that. But yeah, I might do later on, because I haven't been live for a few days, so.
Oh, it's always I love coming to yours. It's just like nipping home for a brew, or I love it. We'll hang on MUFC, and we'll jump over to Ministries, and I'll share his link if anybody's not subbed, so you can come over and.
Yeah, might not be for a bit, but I know there's a few others live at the minute, so I might leave it a little while. I might dinner first, and but Spunk Fish is after this song, so I'm gonna have to see if I can get a decent sound a minute.
Oh, well, Ministry setting that up, we will play out to that. But thank you so much, everybody, for coming in and contributing. And you've been brilliant, kept it respectful. And as I said, interesting topic. So everyone's got an opinion on it.
I don't know if this is going to be too loud. Someone in the chat will have to let me know. For Spunk Fish.